Hi friends. I'm putting together a little vlog for you. Not quite a podcast, but there are things I feel like I need to tell you about in a timely manner. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoy this informal vlog. So first off, I'll show you, I've only been working on a few knitting things because it's gardening, a very busy gardening season, and I haven't been really well, so most of my energy has been going to that, gardening. But I am working on my Spring Intentions wrap, which is a pattern by Kat of Heather and Hops, and I'm doing the knit along there. It's a really wonderful knit along. I've fallen a bit behind now, but I've altered the pattern a bit because, sorry about my nails because I've been gardening. Pattern a bit. I'm making it more as a small neck wrap because I only had a certain amount of these colorful yarns, which are the Faded Rainbow mini set by Fairy Realm Yarns, and my main color is this Cascade 220, just a non-superwash. And I've got it in my cute little bag here by Emma Ball that I got at the Rock Shop last year up in County Clare, which is a nice little shop there near the coast, on the coast near the Cliffs of Moher actually. And also I have the cutest little needle felted sheep that came with one of the bags from Fairy Realm Yarns. Anyhow, so I'm working on that lovely pattern, and it takes some concentration. I mean, it's for, to be intentional, so I'm a little behind at the minute. But you can just maybe get a glimpse of what I've been very busy at over the past 6 weeks, really. Some of these are overwintered, that we've harvested some already. Some are newly planted, anyways, I won't even go into it all. But I have so many little seedlings and plants, and Tom has been helping me as well. He's built a lot of new veg beds for us. Look at my array of tomatoes. Oh, I've been so busy. It's very windy out, but we have several new beds for vegetables and, excitingly, for dye plants. Let me turn the camera around. So I'll just sit down here for a moment and, oh look. Yeah. Sit down here for a moment and just give you a little catch up in this vlog. So gardening is a huge priority because there's a certain window of time to sow the different seeds, because we grow almost all the vegetables we eat throughout the year, so that's really important. Another exciting thing happened is that we had an opportunity to, via Irish Fibre Crafters, we had an opportunity to apply for a grant. So I submitted an outline and a proposal for a natural dyes garden that would be helpful for the crafters in Irish Fibre Crafters. So we've done that, and I'm waiting to hear back, but we are going ahead anyway, and the natural dyes garden is going to be here at Wild Cottage. So we've already started laying that out and building the first few things, because if we don't get the grant, we're going to do the natural dye garden anyway. It will just take longer because, so that has been a thing. Also, another thing is Friday the 9th of April, which is tomorrow as I record this, the European Day Wool, and I'll put information in the down bar. My brain is a bit tired, so I'll put information about it in the down bar, but it's celebrating wool and crafters and farmers and all this sort of thing to do with wool. A lot of videos been made, and I helped make the video for Irish Fibre Crafters. Now, I wasn't actually in the video. I went up and I filmed Sandra, and then I left her the camera, and in a socially distanced, very staggered manner, some of the other crafters came up and she filmed them, and then I put it all together in a video. First we were thinking the video could be 20 minutes, and then it turned out it could only be 10, and of course even without me there was over 30 minutes of footage for me to edit down, which was hard because a lot of wonderful things were said. I'm doing lots and lots of videos around Europe, and I think they're premiering at certain times, but after the Day of Wool is over, the video will be hosted on the Irish Fibre Crafters YouTube channel, and I'll link that as well. That will go live on public on the 10th. So I was doing that. So those are two sort of side projects that I've been doing that have been taking a lot of my energy, aside from just massive gardening season. So I've been doing some knitting though. I have been doing some knitting. So I will just show you some of those things. Look, there's my friend. There's my good friend. Tom and Mimi are gone in the CAR, but himself likes to stay with me. Okay, I'm back. I just popped into the house to get some of my knitting for this little vlog. And of course I have himself in my lap. I have a finished object. This is, and again, excuse my nails, I have literally just been sewing some dahlias tubers to do cuttings from, so I apologize. This is sort of spur of the moment. I've been knowing I need to do it because there's things I want to tell you about that are in a timely manner, but I just haven't been able to, so I apologize ahead of time. I am tired and my words aren't going to be so great, but yeah, I hope you enjoy anyway. So this is a beautiful cowl. I've just made a springtime cowl, and I call it my springtide cowl because it reminds me of spring and Easter. It looks like the Easter egg colors. Those of us that grew up with dyes back in, you know, gosh, 60s and 70s. That reminds me of those colors. But it, yeah, anyways. So this is a beautiful yarn from Bente of Arctic Crafts by Bente, and it's called Kaleidoscope. And it is, it was a DK weight fingering, really lovely. And I'll put the pattern on the screen, and I do the show notes, so that'll all be in there as well. I apologize. I'm not going to remember a lot of, I'm not going to remember a lot of things right now, but I do want to show you what I've been working on. So that's finished. I really love it. It's great for these days, like in April, where the weather is so changeable. It's been amazing. Like, we will have really heavy hail showers, and then the sun will come out and it'll be warm, and my jumper will be on and then it'll be off, and you know, this keeps you that bit warm without being too hot, which is why I made it so loosely. It's a lovely pattern. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, so I'll let you know what that is. Now I'll just pause for a moment and bring out my next project. Yeah, hello fibromyalgia brain. I just recorded so much and it wasn't on. Let me try this again. I don't know if I got in there about my cardigan. This is my first garment ever. This is the Brack cardigan, patterned by Irish designer Carol Feller. And I'm following along on her Teachables class about this because I've never done a garment before. I'm so excited. It's easy to follow along. You can see I've done a little bit since we last spoke. That's my progress keeper. And again, it's just because I've had to do so many other things. I haven't had the brain power to focus on this. And another thing I haven't, see, I'm really messing this up, but I want to get it done so I can get it online in a timely-ish fashion for the European Wool Day, and also for the kind people that have mentioned the podcast. So that's the other thing. I have not been watching all the podcasts that I normally watch. The internet has been bad. My brain has been bad. And I have to catch up. But I've heard sort of secondhand that the lovely Jofi, I'm trying to say her name the way she says it because it's so lovely, of the Burka Creations podcast, has talked about our podcast, Wild Cottage Ireland, and about how I'm doing my first ever garment, the Brack cardigan, which I'm calling my Foxy cardigan, or my Foxy Honey cardigan, because it's a foxy color, and the yarn from Manos de Uruguay is in the colorway Miel, which means honey in French, so it's my Foxy Honey. And yeah, and she talked about how much I love foxes and our history with foxes and all. It was just so lovely and kind of her. I love her podcast. And she has another podcast as well as Burka Creations, which is her craft podcast. She has Burka Homestead, where she's starting to document her journey as they build their cottage, their house in the countryside, and they're going to have a garden and all sorts of stuff. And I think she hopes to have sheep sometime, because the Burka sheep is the native sheep to her. Anyway, so definitely check out her podcast. I love that. Thank you so much, Sophie. And also someone else told me that the lovely Bonnie of Meadowsweet Farm Podcast, which is again a crafting podcast. I think I've gotten that right. If I have said the name of your podcast wrong, Bonnie, I apologize again. My brain is not the best at the moment, and I knew I need to hurry up and do some sort of video because I wanted to talk about European Wool Day, and that's tomorrow, and also wanted to talk about you guys' podcast that so kindly mentioned our podcast before it was like way too long. Anyway, but Bonnie had also emailed me, and she's donating a prize for our 1,000 subscriber giveaway here at the Wild Cottage Ireland podcast. And the last time I looked, we were a little over 800. So it won't be too long, I hope, maybe a few months. So that's a really kind of Bonnie. So check out her podcast because she's going to show you and she's made it. So check it out. I'm not going to give it away now because I know what it is. I don't know what it is exactly because I haven't seen it because I've got to catch up on all my podcasts that I love. So please do go see her podcast, and I'll link everything down below in the video description / show notes. So, and you can see what you might be able to win on the podcast, on the giveaway for our podcast. Please forgive me. And I just have one other thing I want to show you that I've been working on yarn wise. And it's to do with plants as well. It's natural dyeing. Oh. Well, it's in my lovely Fairy Realm Yarns bag. And I'm starting to knit up with it. So I have so many daffodil flowers that I have dyed some of the Irish Belclare wool with daffodils. The first dye bath gives the darker color. So isn't that lovely? When I tried to take a picture of it inside, it doesn't come out as well. But I think this is looking pretty true to life. And then the second dye bath was the lighter color. And I have another bunch of daffodil flowers soaking. So I'm looking forward to dyeing some more yarn. And what I decided to do was, and they're both the Belclare, they're a skein each of the Belclare Irish wool. It's an Erin Wade lovely rustic wool. And what I've done is I've taken 2 of my Christmas minis that Tom got me, my Advent set, sorry, excuse the mess there. These are just regular acid dyed by Felt Fusion, and she's on Etsy, and I'm holding this one double with the light colored there, that's what it's, and then I'm going to hold this more taupe and brown colored with the darker, and I'm just making like a neck wrap. I'm just making it up as I go along. So I cast it on 50 stitches, and I'm just kind of doing a thing when I'm just making it up. And what I'm thinking is that I will probably put buttons along it somewhere, so that I can, anyways, well, I'll talk about that more when I get farther along. So that's just a little catch up on what I've been working on. Yes, and so I really hope you can check out the European Day of Wool and the Irish Fibre Crafters YouTube when it goes up on there, if you miss it, on the European Day of Wool website. And of course, Burka Creations and the Meadowsweet Farm podcast as well. That's Bonnie. And I thank you for being tolerant of I haven't podcasted in about a month, and this is a hot mess. But yeah, so I'm okay. And I know sometimes when people aren't online as much, other people worry a little bit. I'm okay. I just haven't been super well, and I've been super busy. And, there's a lot of things going on in life that, I'm not going to be talking about personal things, and but I'm doing okay. So, and I hope you're doing okay. Life can feel like a struggle at times, but it will ease. Hope you're enjoying. If you're going into spring like us, or if you're going into autumn in the southern hemisphere, I hope the season brings joys to you and comfort for the hard times as well. So, take care, my friends. Good morning. I hope you're enjoying the day. It's Easter Sunday, so if you're celebrating Easter Sunday, I hope you're having a lovely one. It's a little bit windy and grayer this morning than it has been, but we've got some of the first tulips blooming in the garden, doing some natural dyeing with daffodil flowers. So when the flowers start to go over, those are the ones I use, and I'll show you what I'm doing in a minute. So about, 5 days ago, I came out to the garden and started picking the flower heads that were going over, and the pollen and all was gone. And I soaked them in water. Let me show you. So this is a second batch, but this is what I've done. I've just picked the flower heads, picking off, behind them there's often a swollen bit where the seeds are, and I didn't put that in the dye bath, and a lot of them I squeezed off where the green was, but the little stamens and stuff are in there. I'm not sure exactly if they help with the color or not, but it's mainly the petal. But anyhow, so if you don't have a whole bunch at once, you can pick a few and put them in to soak, and then add the others over the next couple days. And I think the idea is that you let them soak in the cool water for about 4 or 5 days anyway. And then what you do is, so I'm doing mine on the wood stove, this part. So what you do then is you just gently simmer, that's a bit warm, your flower tops in the water for about half an hour. And I'm doing mine on the wood stove, keeping it covered. And I have the doors and windows all open just to make sure for ventilation. And it's really funny because it smells very like chorizo, the flower head. So daffodil sap is an irritant, might be toxic it up. Just going to try to talk outside because I'm just losing my words, and I also don't want to put the camera on myself because I just don't feel like it. But daffodil sap is an irritant, possibly toxic if ingested. I don't know for sure about that, but I do know daffodil bulbs are toxic, quite toxic, and you can die from them if you eat them, because sometimes I've read that people have done that, mistaking them for onions, and yeah, they can be fatal. So you want to keep I'm just always erring on the side of caution and keeping the room well ventilated, and doing the work outside if I can. So I'm gonna go out to the barn. I just found my second little morning. This is why I haven't recorded a podcast for a while. Words. I don't know what I was saying. Oh yeah, I have 2 induction hobs. I have an old one that's wonky, and I'm gonna do the dyeing itself in the barn on that. Isn't that lovely? The tulips have really started to come up. This is an old plow. We've actually found 2 around the place over the years. It's an old horse-drawn plow. Pretty amazing. Hopefully one day we'll share those stories with you too.